What up? What up? What up? Welcome in to a post-game edition of Green with Envy. As always, this is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Not the usual tempo, not the usual energy. Y'all know what we're about to get into. And to help us do that, of course, joining me as he does each and every time, best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Maneikis, my guy. Where do we start?
Dude, I've said this a lot this year, but the Celtics just aren't that good. I wrote an article on Celtics blog earlier in the year about how we kind of had to readjust our expectations as a fan base when we got off to this great start. Number one team in the league, best offense of all time. We're thinking that we should be rivaling the '86 Celtics and the '96 Bulls and all this stuff. And I'm looking at this team and I'm like, you know what? They're probably just not that good. And that's okay. They could still be a really successful team in the playoffs if they learn some lessons. Unfortunately, they just don't know how to learn a fucking lesson. They all should be in detention after this game, doing extra tutoring. They need to get that coach from Mighty Ducks 2, the one that takes over for Gordon Bombay and does the change him up line. You know what I mean? When the woman just takes over the team, they need a new coach. They need something. They need new energy. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with this team,
dude. It's all off, man. It's really off. And you can see a few of the chats we got coming in here. Nobody's really feeling great after that 119-150 loss to an Embiidless Philadelphia 76ers on your home court. And you hit on a couple things as you're going through that, Greg. And we collectively, I think we've mentioned this throughout the season. I don't know if there's a great team in the NBA. This team is not great. This team is good. They are not great. They're not a great very, team. Very flawed. And, I think this spoke to a lot of this has been one of my biggest issues with this team. And it's something I've been kind of harping on all year is that championship teams learn from their mistakes. They make mistakes, they fail, and they learn, and they find new ways to kind of overcome and yada, 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 all that shit. This team doesn't fucking do that. And it's really, really frustrating. And that's why yesterday, when we were going through and doing kind of our preview with Adam, that's where that game 5 against Atlanta hit me so hard watching that collapse, because it just went to show that I can't take this team seriously. Now, here's the thing. This is game 1. We're going to overreact. It's going to feel like the sky is falling. They very much are. I still think they're going to win the series. As dumb as that feels to say in this exact moment as we're recording, I would still bet that they're going to win this series. And I know how stupid that sounds. Like, my brain is mad at myself right now for putting those words into the mic that they're going to win this series. I still think they are, but it's the crap like this why you just can't take them that seriously. This is why everyone kind of has that lingering doubt of you can't just buy into themselves, because they keep doing what they did tonight, man. And we're playing the Sixers in Doc Rivers. They play with their meat, man. They played with their meat when they shouldn't have. They looked at the sun for too long, and they fucking dropped the game.
They got some hairy palms right now. Yeah, dude. I just think, I don't know where to start. I guess we could start with some positives. Marcus Smart was really good in the fourth quarter. I was a little bit worried about him when he went out with the chest injury. But he was awesome in the fourth quarter. He was probably the most reliable, best player on the court for the Celtics in that fourth quarter.
Real quick, just because we're gonna hop around all over on this one. I agree. I think this is where it gets tough, because I think there's a lot of things to go. I think Marcus was great in that fourth quarter. I think he should have gone up for that last shot instead of trying to slip it into Tatum on that last.
Yeah, I mean, you can second guess that, dude. That's a play call, though.
That's what I'm saying. It's a nitpick, but that was just something I just was thinking about after I was thinking Marcus was the only guy I trusted really in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not on Marcus on that play, though. I mean, you just look at the possession before when nobody wanted to take a shot, and then at the end of the shot,
I can't. I'm not even ready to talk about how fucking bad.
Well, we got to talk about it, dude. That's why we're here, bro. That's why we're here. I mean, we passed up 3 or 4 shots, all open. And then Brogdon decides at the last second, with the shot clock clearly running out, that he's just going to throw the ball to the top of the key. Maybe he saw Tatum, like he saw the jersey flash by him. Smart was also sort of in that area, but he throws the ball to the worst possible place to Tyrese Maxey, why is Tyrese Maxey just standing there? Like he shouldn't have been there in the first place, right? So he's just standing, he touches the ball. He just starts running. He's looking back. Everybody in the Celtics has their hands up like, what the fuck just happened? Maxey almost stops his dribble like, oh, the shot clock must have gone off.
Yeah.
Nobody moved. And then he lays it up, and that was pretty much the game. But then, dude, the thing that pissed me off the most in this fourth quarter, now I'm fired
just
up.
Go, let it fly. This is what we're all here for. You know, everybody's firing off.
Like Missoula, bro. Al Horford on James Harden in that fourth quarter. Like, what the fuck are we doing? We didn't get the ball out of Harden's hands more than like one time in that fourth quarter. That was when Paul Reed had those 2 free throws when he took the ball off the short roll. But in general, like, it was clear we couldn't switch Horford onto Harden, right? We kept sitting and drop. Harden kept dominating that. We kept trying to go over the screens.
The same 3-point shot with that screen. I don't know how many threes did he hit tonight. At least 4 or 5 of them were that same exact shot every single time.
Yeah. And I mean, Harden was awesome. We can get there in a second, but I mean, Missoula, you got to make an adjustment either schematically or to your lineup. And like Al Horford clearly was the guy you didn't want to be covering James Harden. You have other options, especially when Joel Embiid's not on the other side. They have nobody that's going to dominate you on the boards. Go small, bro. Put in Derek White. Like go Tatum at center. Do something different. Go Grant Williams. Like, you got to do something different than just leave Al Horford out there. And then in that last play, just like we all knew Trae Young was going to take that 30-footer against Jaylen Brown, every single person in the building and that was watching knew James Harden was going to go step back on Al Horford. I was surprised it wasn't a 4-point play.
Yeah, I mean, also just watching Harden shoot, it's pretty impressive that he doesn't get fouled on every 3-point shot that he takes. The way that he, like, his legs, like, it is, I think it is actually, for the most part, his natural shooting motion lends itself to getting that 3-point and 1 call. But it seems really hard that he doesn't get it almost on every shot. But, you know, dude, with that same play call, and, you know, with Paul Reed maybe a little bit differently, but even with him, it's not. But like PJ Tucker set a lot of those screens tonight. Mm-hmm. Make PJ Tucker make a fucking play. Like, just leave him. Just leave PJ Tucker. Do you know how many times PJ Tucker shot the ball tonight?
0.
Yes, that is freaking correct. It is 0. You know how many assists he had?
0.
He had 1. Okay. He had 1. Make him make a play in the short roll. Make him hit a shot. Like, at certain points, after we either just let them have that switch with PJ Tucker, we were basically face guarding PJ Tucker, like, in the dunker spot. And, you know, I get you don't want to just give up like easy 2s, but there's certain points. I don't understand why we were paying so much attention to PJ Tucker. It was driving me nuts all night. The man shot 0 times, had 1 assist, is not a playmaker. He's going to infect the game in different ways. But why that adjustment was never made, or just blitzing Harden off of those screens, making others. There's the other than Tyrese Maxey, the Sixers don't have anyone that I really, well, maybe Melton a little bit, but even still, I'd rather them making plays than just letting James Harden have full control of this game, which he had from the beginning all the way through the end.
Yeah, man. And this was like something I talked with Adam on the IG Live before the game. I was like, I guess you let Harden just like try to go ISO and just like see if he can keep it up for a full quarters, because he hasn't looked like that guy all year. And tonight he was that guy, man. I feel like we have to talk about how great James Harden was. He was the best player on the court by far tonight. He dominated from the opening tip. James Harden was the best player on the floor. Tatum gave him a run for his money at times, but Harden outplayed Tatum. He outplayed Brown, who was dog shit for the second half of the game.
See, our guy said it here, Mitch. Jalen was a no-show. Our guy Mitch here in the chat, Jalen was a no-show for the last 3 quarters. Jalen had a great first quarter. You know, that second half, I mean, you think about those, 2 or 3 turnovers he had in a row, the one where he went all the way down the court, did kind of it's reminiscent of when we catch JB in a slump with turnovers, when he gets a little out of control, jump pass with tunnel vision, nowhere to go, last second threw it back. I mean, it was basically the same pass as the Brogdon pass, except
we had guys back on defense. Exactly. Yeah, but even before that, Jalen was making just bad decisions, man. Like, there's one play before he had the string of turnovers where he was coming up on the left wing. I think he had maybe Horford running down the middle and Smart to his left, and then he had Tatum on the other side of the court wide open, and Tatum's hopping up and down like, throw me the fucking ball, dude. And JB just didn't see him, and we never got Tatum the ball. And Tatum had it going tonight, and I feel like we didn't look for Tatum enough in this game, even though he probably led the team in shots. I haven't looked at the box score. We didn't do a morning box score. Our heads are falling off.
We're so upset. No morning box score. But yeah, Tatum did lead the way with shots at 25. And that's the weird part, right? Only 10 shots for Jaylen Brown. He went 8 of 10, but he only took 10 shots tonight. And some of that was on him. Like we talked about that Brogdon. We're going to call it the Brogdon possession because that was maybe one of the worst passes in NBA history, but that was a collective failure of the Celtics, part of which was Jaylen Brown, I thought, had an opportunity for a shot earlier in the possession. And then that just kind of trickled down to a few other players as well.
Yeah. And dude, let's take a quick break. Yeah. And then let's keep talking about all the Celtics that played like shit.
All right, back to the shitorama that is game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinal. Celtics now trail 1-0 to Philadelphia. And a game, dude, it's here's the thing. Charles Barkley actually said this in the pregame, and he was right. Like Embiid's definitely not playing game 2 now, by the way. There's zero chance. And now what you've done is you've given them a glimmer of hope. Once again, we've already given them extra days with Embiid because we couldn't close it out in game 5 against Atlanta. You lose tonight, you don't force their hand to feel like they have to put Embiid on the court. They've done their job. They've stolen one in Boston. You've lost that home court, which we just got gifted on a freaking golden platter by the Miami Heat. You cough it right up. You vomit all over yourselves, throw it right back to the Philadelphia 76ers. And now they get to rest Embiid until the end of the week. He gets, another 3 more days to likely rest up and then have a chance to come back in game 3 on Friday instead of having to come back on Wednesday. And God, man, it's just such a colossal failure. What other failure would you like to talk about tonight?
Dude, I feel like he's the guy that we probably wouldn't harp on normally because he's such a good guy and he plays great basketball most nights, but Derek White was terrible tonight. Derek White was awful. He didn't deserve to be on the court. He didn't deserve to be on the court in the fourth quarter.
So this was one thing I thought about in the fourth. Number one, on a night where I don't have a lot of good thoughts about Joe Mazzulla, that was one thing that I was happy to see, despite the fact that we've been asking, like, hey, Derek White's a staple, until Brogdon made that pass. Brogdon was having the better night out of him, Derek White, Marcus Smart. That was the correct call in the sense of between those 3 guards who was playing better. But the other thing, and we talked about this as one of the key matchups, Derek White against Tyrese Maxey. And Maxey was going to have to outplay Derek White, in my opinion, by a considerable amount for it to make a real big difference. And he did that tonight. Tyrese Maxey was really good in this game.
Let's go player A, player B. Which box score would you rather have, Will? 27 minutes, 1 for 5, 0 for 4, 4 points, minus 15, or would you rather have 10 for 24, 4 for 4 from the line, 26 points, plus 12, 4 steals, 2 assists?
Oh, that's a tough one, Bob. I'm gonna go with option number 2 in this scenario, and it's not even close, man. This was my, without Embiid, this was the matchup that I looked to as it's really got to be Maxey, and it's not even close for them to have a chance.
Dude, forget Maxey. Melton outplayed him.
Yeah. Okay. It was weird not seeing Melton for a lot of that second half with how good he was in the first half. I don't really understand that decision. That's not for us to necessarily dig too much into. That's a Doc Rivers thing. But yeah, I mean, listen, Melton did the first half. Maxey did it in the second half, and Harden was great the entire night. Harden was vintage Harden in a little bit of a new age, like Harden too. I thought he did a really good job getting into the lane and getting certain shots that he wanted to.
Dude, I would love to take a look at his shot chart. He probably had 6 or 7 mid-range jumpers.
Yeah, it was. I looked at it earlier. It was all basically like, just outside the, restricted area, just outside the free throw lane. Like it's not like it's all these nice, no deep twos in that box score, right? All just either threes or right inside the paint or just outside the paint. Harden came out swinging tonight, and I didn't think it was going to be sustainable. And I wasn't super worried in that first half because I didn't think it was going to be something he could keep up. Yeah. And he did it. I don't know if he's going to be able to do this for how many games in this series. But that's the best I've seen James Harden look in a long time. Same.
But the Sixers can just chill now, man. They don't even have to really come out. Like they should put a little pressure on the Celtics in game 2, but the Celtics are probably, we know the Celtics, right? When they lose a
We
game
know
like
the
this,
script.
the Celtics are going to bounce back. We'll probably win by 15 to 20 points in game 2. People will be feeling better. Oh, game 1 was a fluke. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 30 for 30. All these things are going to happen that we already know. That's the thing that's annoying about this team. Like, even before the game, I texted our group with Mark and Chris, and I was just like, you know what? It's probably like Philly to cover is probably a pretty good bet tonight, because it was like -9. If we know anything about the Celtics, it's when the other team doesn't have their best players, they're going to play down in the competition. But then James Harden was the best player on the floor. Just like, I mean, dude, we can go to all the games that I always reference, but the Magic games, the Thunder games, like, this just happens with this team.
Let's see if I can find it here. I know Sean Grandy tweeted something. I'll keep talking. I'm going to see if I can find this here, because Grandy sent out a tweet where he listed out basically all of the games where the Celtics should have shown up to win but didn't. But keep going here while I try.
Yeah, and it's just like we know the script with this team, which is why it's so goddamn frustrating watching them and covering them game to game, because there's just so many easy fixes. But like, the easy fixes, one night it could be the coach, one night it could be the mentality, another night it could be the offensive game plan. Like, there's all these different things that annoy me about the Celtics. But then there are the games where they have it all cooking, and Tatum is locked in and Brown's locked in and Horford's doing anything on offense. Like, where's Al Horford been this playoffs?
Dude, what is going on with Al Horford right now? I know he made a couple of plays on the boards, and made a couple block shots, but man, he is in a weird funk offensively.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like
he's not even looking like Al
it feels
Horford.
Disconnected, right? Like, it doesn't feel it feels like Al Horford just got traded to the Suns, and he's like how the Suns are all trying to figure out how to play with each other. It feels like at one point I saw him and Tatum were running the same action, and it was clear that it was not supposed to be. Like, Tatum was curling, and then kind of Horford was trailing that, I think, thinking he was supposed to curl. I don't know what's happening with that right now, but it feels, a little bit disjointed. And here I just found the Grandy tweet that I was talking about. So here's just a list of some of the games Celtics have had this year with star players out that they've lost. So we've got Cleveland, no Darius Garland, lost by 9. At Golden State, no Andrew Wiggins, lost by 16. At Denver, no Jamal Murray, lost by 12. At OKC, no SGA, lost by 33. At Miami, no Jimmy Butler, lost by 3. Versus Phoenix, no Devin Booker, lost by 12. Versus New York, no Jalen Brunson, lost by 2. At Utah, no Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, lost by 1. That's a little generous. At Washington, no Bradley Beal, no Kyle Kuzma, lost by 19. And then game 5 against Atlanta, lost by 2. This is what this team does.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it all year. And in the regular season, it's easy enough to look by and say, hey, it happens. It's one game in a string of 4 or 5 over 8-9 days. Well, now you've given a team that was, as we saw tonight, like, we tried to, without being completely dismissive of the Sixers, like, they have talent, in our preview, that's why I like almost wanted to try. That's why I tried to do my little WEEI thing the other day, right? Like, how else can we look at this from the other end? Because we all felt so good about the matchup.
And remember around, I forget, like, it was probably like halfway through the pod, I said, let's zag for a second, right? And I was like, without Embiid, what does that do for the Sixers? It really opens up their offense to let the other guys on the team have room to just like do their thing, and everybody on the court could create. And like, that's not really what happened, because it really just came down to James Harden just fucking killing us for 4 quarters.
Yeah, they still played really slow most of the time.
Yeah, but Melton was able to get off. Tobias Harris had around 20 points. Maxey was free to like just be Maxey in transition and do what he does.
Tobias, we give a lot of shit on the show for not showing up. He showed up tonight. He did, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, steal, block, had a couple of big shots. He did what Tobias Harris, what they need Tobias Harris to be on a consistent night. If he's that every single night, like, that's a massive win for the Sixers.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just trying to think of like other things at the Celtics. I mean, we only took 26 threes tonight. I know we lived in the paint as we should have, but we only took 20
in the paint.
Yeah, only took 26 threes. We made 10, right? So like, Mazzulla, I'm sure, is going to be killing himself for that. The fact that we didn't shoot more threes in this game, we lost the quote unquote math game. How many threes did the Sixers hit? I mean, Harden.
They were 17. They were 17 for 38. So we lost that by 7. I think, and then one of the things that has continually killed this team, and excuse me, I'm choking. It was so bad that I couldn't even think of it. But 16 turnovers to 6 for Philadelphia. Just once again,
and just bonehead turnovers, bro. Like, the most annoying turnovers were the Jaylen Brown turnovers because we can all see those happening from a mile away. Jaylen gets tunnel vision. He sees a good defender in front of him, and he decides, I'm going to go power dribble to my right hand and just try and bowl through you. It's like, bro, that doesn't work. That doesn't work in the playoffs. It doesn't work against PJ Tucker. Let's just stop doing that. Like, I thought we learned our lesson in the finals. Like, just stop doing that shit.
But
that was really annoying.
That's where you forgot, Greg. We don't learn lessons. We don't learn lessons.
I forgot about that.
That is not what this team does. Sack lunches in football is not what this team does. They do not learn lessons. So, all right, let's take another break here, Greg, and let's attempt to turn the page. Let's attempt to see what lays beyond this embarrassment of a game one. Okay, Greg. So Celtics have 48 hours here, basically. Game 2, Wednesday night. We're down 1-0, and we've already said we already feel like we know the script, right? The Celtics are going to come out with a performance that, actually, you know what? To be honest, I don't know if they're going to come up with a performance that makes you feel good or one that just says, "God damn, at least they got one." Like, you know what I mean? But I feel very confident that they're going to get that one. I don't know how it's going to look, but how does this change the perspective of this series for you, having watched the debacle that we watched?
I mean, tonight? Dude, I was feeling pretty chesty, bro. I was feeling pretty chesty coming into this game. So, I mean, it completely shifts my mindset because I was expecting the Celtics to win in 4 or 5 games. That clearly is not going to happen. Like, this is going to be a dogfight now. The Sixers are going to be able to rest Embiid for as long as they want. They could rest him to game 4 if they need to, right? If they're down 2-1 going into game 4.
That's a win for them, right? Based on what their prospects were coming in, their expectations of being 2-1 by game 4, they're guaranteed that now. So that's a great point. They might just rest until game 4.
Yeah. And then, I mean, dude, I just think that this team, they're just not that good. The Celtics just aren't that good. Like, going back to what we started the pod with, like, I think the Celtics should make the finals. I still would probably bet on the Celtics to come out of the East to make the finals, but it's not going to be this like buzzsaw of a team that just cuts through everybody like a hot knife through butter, bro. It's just like not going to happen with this squad because they don't learn lessons. They're not connected enough on either end of the court. And they suck in crunch time. Like, they played great in crunch time in game 6 against the Hawks. But once again, that was against the Atlanta fucking Hawks, who had a new coach who only coached the team for fucking 20 games. You know what I mean? Like, we should have beat that team. So when you go up against a Sixers team that has an action that they're going to be able to run whenever they want, especially as RNC Henzo says, that drop coverage Horford is playing so fatal to us, when we have a scheme that doesn't take away what the other team is kind of playing for, then they have an action where they can get a good shot every possession. That's pretty much what happened tonight, is the Sixers were able to get a good shot almost every possession because we just decided, you know what, we're going to sit and drop and then force them to either make contested threes or long twos. And they got wide open threes and easy twos. So it just didn't work out.
Not a good combo.
Not a good combo. Not a good combo. So I think this, if I had to bet now that I know the Celtics lost game 1, I'd probably go Celtics in 7, man. Unfortunately.
So we're there. I'll tell you this, man. So I'm going to be back in Boston, the 11th through the 16th.
Okay.
During that time, game 7 will occur in Boston. Scooped a couple of tickets, just thinking, this is no chance this game's going to happen. I'm just going to get a refund on these tickets. Feel like there's a good chance that I might actually be at that game now. And listen, I even predicted that the series was going to go 6, even without knowing Embiid's status. And my thought process on that, I didn't think it would be tonight, but I figured there would be at least 1 or 2 stinkers that the Celtics were going to throw out there that were going to be looked at as, because now I'm kind of just expecting this, right? I'm expecting this type of game to happen in a series where you're going to look back and say, man, we really had to win 5 or 5.5 games in that series. And at the end of the day, to your point, they might still make the finals. It's probably going to be a struggle to get there. We're gonna make it there, scratching and clawing our way. And then who knows what waits for you on the other side of the Western Conference. We know there's going to be a superstar involved because every single one of those teams has really, really impressive superstars on their team. And some of them have, and most of them have multiple superstars on their team. And so even if it doesn't catch up to you because your talent might, especially if Embiid is not able to come back at a reasonable level, your talent should be enough to get you by the remains of Philadelphia, Miami with an injured Jimmy Butler, the Knicks with an injured Julius Randle. The talent and depth alone on this team should be enough to get them through those three teams and whichever teams that they play. But there is zero chance it's not going to come back and bite them in the ass if they get to the finals. Like I don't at this point, I'm not even, I don't know. I don't care who they play in the West. There's no way that it's not going to come back to bite you at some point. And maybe it bites them in the ass before that, to be honest, because some of these other teams play just with a better mindset. Even if they don't have the talent, I think all three of these teams, at least right now, are playing with a better mindset than the Celtics are. They're coming in and fighting for it. They're more focused on a possession to possession basis. Like you said, the Celtics hit these highs that are so tantalizing because they're probably the best highs in the league when they're firing, but they just don't do it consistently enough and they don't dig in. These other teams do, but they just don't hit those same highs, but they are more consistent, I think.
Yeah, and with the Celtics, another thing, going back to our conversation earlier about just like the script that we understand, it's like when the Celtics get off to a really good offensive start, it's fool's gold almost all the time because they get off to a great start and then they're like, oh, we can just shoot threes or get easy layups or just like play this Missoula ball that we're playing, and we don't really have to lock in on defense because we're going to be able to get in this track meet and we'll lock in when it matters in crunch time, as they did in Game 6 against the Hawks. And tonight it was just like in the second quarter, I was texting our group and I was like, I don't like this because we think that we're just going to be able to play defense in the last 5 minutes. And that's exactly what didn't happen. The Sixers were the ones that went on the run to close the game. I think they went on like a 12-4 or 14-4 run to close that game out. And the Celtics just didn't have it. And it's just these things that we know it shouldn't be so obvious to fans what's going to happen in a game. And it just is, dude. It just is. Every single game that I watch this team, I'm just like, oh, within the first 5 minutes, I can tell what type of game that's going to be.
Yeah, this is almost the reverse of, because we were reminiscing in our group chat today a little bit about like the 08 Celtics team. It's a little bit where they got to a point when I just knew when Rondo was going to hit either KG with that pick and pop pass or he was going to find Ray in the corner, and it was such a good feeling. This is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
This is the feeling of, this is something I've said about Marcus Smart in the past, is that I sometimes don't like when he hits a couple 3-pointers early in the game, because then it gives him this, almost false bravado or this false confidence that, oh yeah, tonight's the night that I'm going to go for those 11 threes that I hit that one time in Phoenix when we lost and I set a record. And it's like, no, that's not the Marcus that we need tonight. And I'm just using that as an example. I'm not trying to put that on Marcus, but it is similar to the way that this team plays. That, I don't think the guys on TNT, who I think are super entertaining, I don't think they're always super, like, oh man, I learned so much in that. But they make a good point. When you shoot 74-75% in the first half, you should be up by more than 3. Like, that's like, you can't, like, the fact that, if you got into this game, Greg, and you said, hey, Celtics are going to score 66 points in the paint, they're going to shoot 74% in the first half of this game, and Jason Tatum's stat line will be 39 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. How confident would you have been in the Celtics victory tonight?
I would have said, oh, Celtics won by 25, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yeah. Like, oh my God. It's really tough to fathom and kind of wrap your head around. But at the end of the day, it's one game, right?
Yep.
7-game series. It's one game. I think a lot of times, because this is the, and especially without Embiid, there was so many, expectations of the Celtics are going to get this, guys. We can't really freak out. We're going to get this. They did what they do. We thought it might change. It didn't. But at the end of the day, it's one game, 6 more to go. Celtics are still going to be in this mix. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll talk all about it. We'll go through game 2 motions. And, I'm going to be, oh my God. So, just for those listening, we're not going to be able to go live after the game on Wednesday, but myself and Adam will have something for you guys Thursday mid-morning-ish to cover everything. God, I am going to be so devastated if on that podcast I have to talk about the Celtics being down 0-2. I still can't wrap my head around that. I that's a bridge too far, but we're not too far away from that, if we're being 100% honest here.
I think the Celtics win by 15 in game 2. That's my prediction.
I mean,
We
that's
all feel it. Then you and Adam get to have a nice, happy pod on Thursday. That's
I
my
hope
wish
so,
for you,
man.
my friend.
I hope
Because I don't have
so.
to be a part of that, right?
Yeah.
I do have to be. So Adam and I are going to be going live on IG Wednesday before the game. So I can definitely get negative with Adam for a little bit before that game. And then you can have the nice positive pod Thursday morning.
That's what we're hoping for. Real quick before we get out of here, as we're recording, Phoenix and Denver are in the second quarter of their game. Phoenix with a 1-point lead, pretty low scoring so far, 21-20. But real quick, let's just touch on the other. Let's touch on two things real quick. Number one, Knicks and Heat, game 1. Jimmy Butler gets hurt late in the game. I missed the very end of this game. Saw some of the highlights towards the end. Missed the last about 5 to 8 minutes or so. But Knicks, I mean, not to the same level of the Celtics blowing game 1, but that was a game that felt like they kind of had in hand for a little bit. Jimmy Butler gets hurt, and the Heat still found a way, man. The Heat are just finding a way somehow, some way. Kyle Lowry having a throwback game as well. Finding a way to get it done. Did you have any impressions on that particular game?
I'm furious you're making me talk even more tonight after what just happened. I'm so mad at you right now. But yeah, dude, I mean, I'm so mad at you right now. Jimmy Butler was great. When he sprained his ankle, I immediately knew he was staying in that game. I didn't expect him to be as limited as he was. I don't know if they've announced his availability for game 2, but if I were the Heat, I would just rest him. They got the game they needed to. Without Julius Randle in the game, the Knicks look very lacking. RJ Barrett was like, hey, Jaylen Brown, hold my beer with the turnovers that he had in that game. So I don't see, like I said on the last pod, I said I would pick the Heat if Randall's limited or injured. So I'm sticking with that. But now Jimmy Butler's hurt, so who knows? But I'm sticking with the Heat. I'm going to go Heat in 6 in that game, in that series.
And the last thing, and this should be a happy note because this is one of our favorite players. Can we just do like a minute and a half on just the greatness of Steph Curry?
Sure. Go for it.
I wanted to kind of just hear your thoughts on it because I was just amazed watching. I said this, I was thinking of this the other day. Who's it more fun when Clay or Steph gets hot? I was trying to think in my head, I was trying to make a case for Clay, but it's Steph. 50 points in a game 7. That guy is so freaking incredible. Like I said, if the Celtics are lucky enough to find their way back to a finals, the Warriors feel like they're gearing up for a run here. This shit ain't going to cut it when we play the Warriors, and we saw that last year.
Well, what's great about the West is that we get LeBron versus Steph, which is awesome that we get that one more time. This might be the last time we ever get to see those two guys go head-to-head in a playoff series. So I'm happy that we get to watch that as just a basketball fan in general. But then I'm rooting for the Suns because whoever wins, right, LeBron or Steph gets to go up against KD. In the Western Conference Finals, and that's just got another storyline to it. And then who knows? It could be if it's Warriors versus Celtics, that's a fun finals. If it's Lakers versus Celtics, that's a fun finals. If it's the Suns or the Nuggets, it's not quite as fun, but there's still a lot of guys that you want to see in big games. And then you just got to hope that the Celtics actually fucking get there.
I was going to say, I like that we're ending on the note of the Celtics potentially being in the finals from where we started. But before Greg gets any more mad at me, let's wrap this up. I want to get the hell out of here, too. This has been a stressful night. Hopefully, it'll be a lot better when we come to you on Thursday. Like we said, myself and Adam will be recording that podcast. Make sure you're following us on IG Live. We're going to be doing a lot of pregame shows on there. Greg and Adam will be handling the majority of those. I'll probably pop in here and there, but make sure you're following us at Green MB Pod, at Adam Taylor NBA. Those are going to be the two accounts that we're going to be streaming from. So make sure that y'all are tuning in, and we'll be back here throughout the playoffs. But that's going to do it for tonight's episode. Let's put this shit to bed. Let's turn the page. Let's move on to game 2. Greg, any final thoughts? And let us know what we go here on the way out.
One quick thought. Did you see that the guy on IG compared me to a mixture of Derek White and Furkan Korkmaz?
I did not, but I love that. Okay. Here's my last request to anybody that's still listening to this right now. If you're a graphic designer or an artist of some sort, please make try to make me a rendering of that. I need that. Apparently I'm looking at it, but I need to see what this could. Oh, maybe we can do an AI. Oh, maybe we'll talk to our guy Matt Martin. We'll get a little AI mashup of how do you say his name?
Furkan Korkmaz and Derek White. That's apparently what I look like, but I disagree. Anyways, with that, we're going to play you out music from my band down here in Austin, Texas. Hopefully this puts you in a good mood. Skywalking. Peace, everybody.
Peace, y'all.